All right, let's do it. Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome officially to Opportunities Assessment, Discover Ways to Maximize Your Fundraising Ecosystem. We're happy to have you joining us today, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. My name's Kimberly. I'm part of the QGIve team. If you haven't had the opportunity to work with us before, we're an online fundraising platform dedicated to helping nonprofits raise more money, and how we do that is through webinars like this one. Today's webinar will be about 45 minutes with a Q&A to follow, so bringing our total time together today to just about an hour. We will be recording the presentation and sending each of you a copy of the presentation itself, a recording, and a link to a few other resources. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, please go ahead and put them in the questions chat box. We will field those at the end. We also will be live tweeting today. So any kind of highlights at #QGIve webinar, if you're a Twitter user, please follow us and join on in the discussion. Our username is QGIve. After today's webinar, we do have a really important survey we'd love for you to take. Your feedback is crucial as it helps us determine future content for webinars like this one. Why we're here. We value relationships and are very proud to connect our nonprofits to our partner network, and hope that this in turn helps increase your nonprofit's effectiveness and success. Today we are excited to introduce you to one of our partners, Give Back Nation, a national 501c3 nonprofit serving other nonprofits and helping them maximize their fundraising ecosystem. Many of you are familiar with QGIve, some are not, and thanks to everyone for joining us. QGIve exists to help nonprofit organizations like yours raise more with a comprehensive suite of fundraising tools, such as donation forms, event registrations, peer-to-peer fundraising, text giving with outbound messaging, auction events, and so much more. And together, QGIve and Give Back Nation are enjoying helping nonprofit organizations make smart and strategic digital fundraising decisions. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our subject matter expert and speaker today, Kyle Gregory, CEO and co-founder of Give Back Nation. And as you'll hear, Kyle has extensive nonprofit and entrepreneurial experience to share with us. So over to you, Kyle.
All right. All right, I think I did that right. Everything look good?
It looks great.
All right. Well, thanks for the introduction, and great to be, have the opportunity to be here with all of you, and also the ones that will end up hopefully watching this later. The end game is to hopefully provide some insights, some hidden gems maybe that will help you as you assess kind of your organization, and try to, create more efficiency and create more effectiveness, and hopefully raise more funds. As Kimberly kind of briefly brought up, Give Back Nation, we are an organization that serves a little over 500 other nonprofits around the country in a lot of different ways. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that serves other nonprofits with vetted tools, knowledge, coaching, strategy, and implementation to increase efficiency, fundraising, and impact to help maximize what we call the fundraising ecosystem. And we are located just outside of Orlando here in Central Florida. We serve all different types of organizations, size-wise, startups all the way up to multi-billion-dollar organizations. And we do a lot of just complimentary brainstorming calls. So a lot of what we discuss on those calls is what we'll kind of zero in on today. And again, going back to, the title, Opportunities Assessment, Discover Ways to Maximize Your Fundraising Ecosystem. Now, what is the fundraising ecosystem? Well, the end game is we need to raise funds to be able to do, to be able to support the cause and be passionate about the good things that we're providing, hopefully for our communities. But we got to have things in place to do that efficiently and effectively. So the fundraising ecosystem to us is everything needed working in harmony to efficiently and effectively raise funds to thrive, not just survive. And the fundraising ecosystem is made up of a lot of different types of things, branding, storytelling, which we'll talk about today, events, staffing, board alignment, data management, plan giving. I mean, there's just a lot of things that potentially you could zero in on. But on this, during this conversation, we'll try to maybe touch on some of the keys to solidify the foundation of the organization. So where to begin, how much time might be needed to kind of bring your organization up, what opportunities are available. We know that, staff is focused on running the organization, so it can be overwhelming trying to figure out what are things that we might be missing. And last year, it was a very unique year. We ended up talking to more organizations than we ever had before. And a lot of it was, what do we do now? Good thing is we're kind of coming out of this pandemic, but there was a lot of habits that were formed, especially with virtual fundraising and other things like that. And a lot of organizations were looking internally on what things that maybe they had put on a shelf and hadn't spent time really looking at, and they were able to have some extra time to be able to devote some time to some of these other things. So the fundraising ecosystem, again, there's a lot of things that you could spend time looking at. And today we're going to zero in on what we refer to as the three main pillars. The branding and storytelling, which ultimately, again, is really the number one pillar. If someone can't understand what you do, how you do it, why you do it, it's hard for them to get passionate about providing support in some way. Removing barriers to give talks about technology. When someone's in the mood, make it easy for them to support you. And then data management, which ultimately fuels engagement, which creates long-term sustainability and success. So those are what we'll zero in on today, and we'll start with branding and storytelling. And we'll end up having 3 different survey questions. So we do have one quick survey question to get things started. I do see that it went out, so that's good. So it's a little abrupt, but it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, are you proud of your website? So yes, no, certain areas of it. Just go ahead and answer that real quick, and we'll touch on it here in a second.
Okay, I'm leaving it open for a few more seconds. It looks like we've got some great responses. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and end polling. So it looks like 45% of everyone said yes, they actually are proud of their website, with 16% saying no and 39% saying certain areas of it.
Okay. All right, good. So maybe after we kind of get through this section, maybe some of those folks that are proud of it, maybe there's some opportunities there, and so again, your website, it's something that if someone hears your name of your organization and they're interested in learning more, 9 times out of 10, they may go to Google, type in the name, and hopefully they're finding something that is showcasing what you're doing. What are some of the things that, how are you impacting your community, and does it look like you're, you just fall off the turnip truck, or is it something that you look like you've been around for years? And it all starts with your name. There may be a tagline that's associated with your name. So up here in the top left-hand corner, you've got Building a Stronger Family. This is an organization that is up in northern Indiana. This was last year. They kind of went through we supported them through a rebrand, and the end game was, how do we essentially do a DBA? How do you start with a name that starts telling the story? And if you think of the name of your organization right now, does it start to tell the story of what you do? Because that's really that first step if someone hears about you. Taglines, in this case, strong families build strong communities. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of small, but it does kind of extend that first initial, name of the organization, maybe what the cause is about. The logo, does it look dated? Does it look fresh and clean? Is the coloring a turn off versus a turn on? Dark colors versus vibrant colors? It really starts there. And then the website itself, of course, nowadays you have these websites that can scroll on, forever, and that's kind of the new version of the new template. but you want to create that first impression. You want it to be positive, and you may have 15 to 30 seconds to get someone's attention enough to want them to read more, learn more. Social media and other marketing tools may be the first place that they see you, but if they really want to get to know your organization, the website is really going to be the place where you can inundate them with knowledge and information. So we want to make sure that that you're in a good place here. You'll notice as we kind of go through the presentation that we do have the URLs for any of these websites that we're looking at the bottom. So if you want to take a deeper dive, but so there's a couple examples here. Again, kind of fresh, clean. It's very easy to read and kind of get that first strong impression. Respect is earned. It can take a while to earn respect, but you can lose it pretty quick. So again, if someone goes to your site, you want to make sure that they aren't losing respect quickly. We talk about a lot, stay in control your own destiny. Too many organizations are outsourcing websites to folks that may be charging them monthly fees or other things that they may not need. Nowadays, you have solutions that are easy to learn, easy to manage. WordPress is a platform that's been around for a while. It's gotten easier to use. You have things that you can put over the top of it, like Implementor, that allows you to more easily use it. So allows you to control when you need to update it, add things. Or Squarespace over the past few years has become more and more used, and then Weebly is another one. But again, I think this all goes back to control your destiny. Don't be having to take funds that you could use for other means to pay someone that really isn't doing much. You may have to have an initial investment to enhance a site or even revamp it, but for the long term, you should be able to stay in pretty good control of it yourself. So the storytelling aspects, and again, everything counts. Everything adds up. T's crossed, I's dotted. But the storytelling should start pretty soon, pretty high up on the home page. The who, the what, the why, the how. Your vision and your mission, that should be pretty easy to understand pretty quickly. So you don't want to add too much text or too much words, a sentence or two to tantalize and hopefully get their attention enough that they want to learn more. In this case, with building a stronger family, the who we are, the why we do it, the Simon Sinek, the why that we're involved, the why that we chose this cause, and the what we do. And then in this case, the how we do it, it's events and workshops. So how fast can someone understand those four things, when you're looking at your website, when you're assessing, opportunities that you could be making on the enhancement side. So and again, that's the beginning of the storytelling phase. Then it becomes, what is your impact? If you can easily showcase what sorts of things that you're doing to affect the community that you're supporting, that's what people want to see. If they're going to especially make a monetary donation or some sort of support, how do you make it easy for them to quickly understand? So stats, numbers, how do they understand, if it's 1,000 kids that are being impacted, in this case, Boys and Girls Club Central Florida, that's who they're impacting. Stats where 100% of our high school seniors graduate, things that people can see, so stats and numbers. And a lot of organizations, when you go to their website, it's kind of hard to find impact. And, and then how do you quantify it down into just easy things that we can all understand, and then have learn more buttons so you can jump to other areas of the site so they can really take a deeper dive. But just, how do we keep things simple and use stats and numbers to be able to convey impact? Website responsiveness, hopefully, the website provider that you're using or the template that you're using, if you look on your mobile phone, it looks good. Because 50, 60, even 70%, that statistic's probably low of folks, just think of yourself, are going to websites on their mobile phone first. So your desktop view may look great, but when's the last time you looked on your mobile view? Tablet sometimes looks a lot like desktop. It's kind of that intermediary, but the the mobile phone, they got to get some, you want them to get excited so that hopefully they end up on your desktop and it's much easier to kind of see things and look at things. But responsiveness, website responsiveness, make sure that you've got that taken care of. Social brand and storytelling. So social media sites, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I mean, there's just a lot of them out there. But the heavy hitters, they should have a concise cohesiveness. You know, they connect in some way, whether it's, you know, the initial icon logo that's on each one of them, having that similar. The content, of course, is going to be a little bit different depending on which social sharing or which social site they're on, whether it's just images or content or both, but they should have some sort of connectivity. Everything counts. Everything adds up in someone's mind, whether they think that you just started the organization or you've been around for 10 years and maybe you've only been around for 2, just because of the way that you've spent time really looking at how you're conveying your story and your impact and all these things. So it all adds up in someone's mind. And especially, again, if they're supporting you monetarily, you want to make sure all this stuff looks good and is cohesive. And one of the last things on the branding and storytelling side is ask for feedback from your ambassadors, what we call your ambassadors, your greatest relationships, the folks that have been supporting you since the beginning or for a while. Reach out to them. You know, ask them why. What did they see? What did they hear that, you know, made them get more involved? You know, ask those questions. And again, it kind of sounds like, well, yeah, you know, that's something that, you know, is we understand that we should be doing that, but do more of it, because there's a reason why they got involved. There's a reason why they, you know, so maybe there's things that they heard before that you aren't showcasing now. So, you know, so just think of, you know, who could you reach out to and just ask some questions. You know, how did you get, you know, passionate about what we're doing? So, a few takeaways just from the branding and storytelling aspect. Again, everything counts. You know, respect is earned. Can take a while. It can be lost very quickly. So make sure that first impression, you know, that website, and again, everything trickles down from the website, the collateral material, the social media pages. If you've got that in a good place, and again, it's, you know, version 36, it ends up being version 98, you know, a couple months later, just because you got to keep thinking and what can we put on there, what blog articles, what stories, what impact stories, what examples of things that we're doing. You want to just keep nurturing and keep massaging it. But the name, the tagline, I mean, does it make sense to do a DBA? You know, is there confusion being started right from the get-go? You know, what does that logo look like? Does a refresh make sense? Fresh contemporary website, you know, you've got, again, these different types of platforms that are out there that you can do some, you know, you can stay in control and you can do some really interesting things on your own, not have to outsource. The who we are, what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. Is that easy to understand? Is it easy to see, you know, within those first 15 or 30 seconds? That top image, how do you make that small so that they get to the good stuff quicker? A lot of organizations will have their logo real big up top. Make it small, move it to the left, you know, get them to the sweet spot of what you want them to see and hear. Stats and numbers, you know, help them easily understand and see how you're impacting the world and what that looks like. Consistent branding across the web, social, and collateral. Make sure it all is connected. You know, it shouldn't be this over here hasn't been touched in a while versus, you know, your website has a different brand and look and feel. Mobile responsive. Make sure that the desktop view and the mobile view, you're both proud. You know, it's something, you know, you're both of them that you're proud of to showcase and let people see. And then ask questions. You know, talk to your staff, talk to your board members, talk to folks that have been giving to you and are passionate about what you're doing, your key ambassadors. Find out what they think is lacking. Find out what they think you should be showcasing. So yeah, a few takeaways on the branding and storytelling. So the second pillar that, again, we're always, you know, just kind of looking at and kind of harping on when it comes to the fundraising ecosystem and as you're assessing your own as we work through here, is removing barriers to give. And again, this really harps on technology and if someone's in the mood to give, make it easy. So this brings us to our second survey. So Kimberly, if you can pop that up. This question refers to, can supporters donate on your website? Essentially, is your donate form embedded, or are they taken away to a new window hosted by a third-party processor? Could be PayPal, could be something else that takes them away from your site. Oh, Kimberly,
Hey, Kim, you're muted.
Oh my gosh, technology is great when it works and when you use it correctly. So thank you, everyone. 67% of everyone said on the website, while 33% said away to a new window.
Okay, great. Yeah, embedded is the way to go. We'll talk about why, the psychological effect that occurs. You want to keep people, on your site, on your brand as they go through. So again, the second pillar, removing barriers to give. So empower supporters to give anytime, anywhere. This just gives a quick snapshot. These stats are a couple of years old, but they probably increase from now. And again, statistics, take them as you will. It really just kind of matters who you're asking and all that. But I think this is a pretty good snapshot. Cash and checks are great, but no matter the demographic, no matter the age, people are preferring to make it easy to give online. Cash and check are 100% donations. You don't have to, pay for processing fees and things like that. But if you want to make sure you get the funds, someone's in the mood to give, make it easy. And so this kind of just touches on that, removing barriers to give, and it does. The demographics are kind of getting, there's the limitations that maybe were there a few years ago. People are getting used to it. And last year, 2020, a lot of people got used to it, giving online. So these are some stats, some key giving trends in the 2020 Black Bond Institute's Charitable Giving Report. Last year, U.S. charitable giving grew 2% year over year. Online giving grew 21%. Again, a lot of folks thought that last year giving was going to be down. It ended up being there was some slowness there in those first 4, 5, 6 months, but then things picked up at the end of the year. But online giving grew another 21%, representing more than a 32% increase over the last 3 years. So once people get in habits, they tend to keep doing what they're used to. So, and they probably realize that, hey, it's easier to just go to a website or use text giving or whatever the case may be than to write a check, put it in the mail, figure out where you need to send it, things like that. So a record 13% of fundraising came from online donations in 2020. So again, that sounds like it's not a lot, but on the other side, you've got big foundations and $1 million donations coming in these big ways where it kind of skews, the events and the annual giving and things like that. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at some of these stats. Nearly 30% of all online gifts were made from a mobile device. So responsiveness is huge. And then really this last note, the nonprofits have also experienced a significant drop in charitable giving in April, May, and June. It really came back, that second half. And again, a lot of organizations that were helping the pandemic in some way had record years. But again, a lot of this virtual fundraising was leveraged. If someone is in the mood to give, make it easy. Get out that easy button and help people along. So we'll zero in on some of this technology, some of these tools that are out there that can make the giving process that much easier. So we'll break this down into different segments. So the first, the giving portal, we refer to as the giving portal, which again is on your site. If someone clicks donate, and the Hope Partnership, this is an organization here in Central Florida, on their site, they've got Give Hope, which is kind of highlighted on the menu. So hopefully, looking at your website, you've got a call to action that stands out where someone can donate really easily and click the button. And then when they do click that button, hopefully it's not taking them away from the site. The end game is you want them to stay on your site. There's a psychological effect that occurs when someone gets taken away, they start thinking of other things. You don't want them thinking of other things. You want them to zero in, because this stat was given to me by someone there at QGive. And again, a lot of these examples on the technology side are QGive examples, because not only, we're co-hosting this, but the end game is we've leveraged QGive for over 6 years now, and we keep, we're always, a big part of what we do is vetting resources and doing research on what tools and things are out there that organizations can use. We have close to 90 different partners that we beat up to try to find the best of the best. And so that if organizations come to us and they need something, we can connect them with a valuable source instead of saying, here's 5 that you could look at. They already have enough on their plate. Why not, find something that is really good at what they do? So anyway, so QGive, a lot of these examples are QGive based. But again, a conversation I had with QGive, I think the end of last year, was roughly 80% of folks that go to the donate page don't follow through. And that was astounding to me. So how do you turn the tide and make it so that instead of 80% of people are going away, 80% of people are finalizing their gift? So embedding the form, they're not thinking of, well, how much is PayPal getting, or how much is some other organization or platform that you're sending them to getting. Keeping it on the site, keeps things top of mind. They're and then also the layout adds up as well. So in this case, bring hope to those in need. There's not a bunch of text or pictures above, below, beside the donate form. There's no clutter. If they're clicking donate, make sure that it's streamlined. You may want to allow people to give by check, but make sure that's not the top thing. If they're there, help them finalize. Don't send people away. Multi-step forms, which you can barely, it's kind of cut off here, but a multi-step form is something that, again, has been getting more and more popular, and there's a reason for it. As when someone comes to your donate page, if they just see one long form, a one-step form, if you will, they can kind of get overwhelmed. If we see a bunch of words on a site, on a website, or anywhere, as humans, we don't really want to read, that much. We want to kind of just get to the point. And so a multi-step form helps streamline that process. They can focus on these mini successes that the first step is select one-time or ongoing, select your amount, select whether you want to, help pay for processing, and move on. The next page, it's maybe their personal information. The next page, maybe it's some custom fields, some other questions that you want to ask, so you can, get more data for that long-term engagement. And then that next page or that next step might be, putting in their credit card information or their check, or however they're going to finalize the donation. So the end game is there's little things that you can do, and maybe you're using them now, maybe you're not, to make sure that 80% goes down, and try to make sure that you're that folks are finalizing their support to your organization. So embedded multi-step can help you. Then reoccurring giving options, that's where you can start planning. If you know that you're having every month this amount of funds that are coming in, so having reoccurring campaigns, having that capability front and center, even having that selection first, so that a monthly gift is already pre-selected on your giving form. People just go, okay, yeah, I'll do that, and they move on. So just little things, to a little insights to how do you maximize this opportunity where they're getting ready to give, make sure they finalize that opportunity. Text giving, another tool, again, been around for a while, at least historically. Text giving, where you text Haiti to a number and $10 comes out of your phone bill, and maybe $5-6 of it makes it to the organization. And so that's kind of historical way. And text giving is it can be very expensive to set that up, but it is very easy. All you need is a keyword and a number, and the money goes through. Text to donate, which is becoming more and more popular, is a couple extra steps, but it's really providing a way to quickly get someone to your donate portal and allowing them to give however much they want. and using a keyword. So text donate to 50155 to donate any amount, and it gets them to where you want them to be. So there's no excuse. They can give anytime, anywhere. They're not limited to, I'm not in front of my computer, or I'm not, in front of the organization with a check. If they want to, it really helps to eliminate any reason why they shouldn't. Peer-to-peer fundraising. So again, as we're looking at how do we remove barriers to give, it's a tool that, peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns, it's a tool that allows you to empower your supporters. So what that means is, the idea with a peer-to-peer event is have some sort of campaign or event, get your ambassadors involved, have them create their own fundraising pages so they can reach out to their constituents and tell them about why they're passionate about, the organization. And they, in turn, not only help fundraise, but they also get you in front of more people. And the data gathering aspect of it, which we'll talk about more here in a second, really becomes almost more important than the fundraising aspect. So if you add 5 times more donors as a result of a peer-to-peer event, that allows you to cultivate and convert and potentially gain more fundraising in the long term. So they can look a lot of different ways, whether it's a bowl-a-thon or a running event. They can be, a month-long campaign that you're just looking to raise funds for a certain cause. You can do them throughout the year. I mean, it just becomes a heck of an opportunity to not only raise funds, expand your reach, and also increase your contact list, your donor list. And that way you can, touch more folks for the long term and increase more opportunities. Social sharing. You want to make sure that, as you're removing barriers to give, that social sharing is built in. So maybe after they give, there's a pop-up that says, hey, share your support on Twitter and Facebook. So very easily they can go on and say, hey, I just supported this organization, join me. And when they click the link, it brings them right back to that donation portal, allows organizations or individuals to support and learn more about what you're doing. Customizable forms, this becomes huge. The layouts, the colors, the options, how do you sync your brand, as you're embedding these things on your site or bringing people to them. You want to make sure that you have those capabilities. And receding. Receipts are a heck of an opportunity. When someone gets that receipt, that's a touch point. What do you put in there? What types of knowledge, what types of links, what types of visuals that can help, again, extend the storytelling aspects of what you're trying to convey and what the cause is and what you guys are doing and how you're impacting your community. So make sure you can leverage receipts, customize them. Again, some of these processing platforms, are very limited in how you can customize things. Online auctions, virtual auctions, again, something over the past few years has become more and more popular, and organizations are figuring out how to use them and really leverage them. So, especially last year. But when you're having an event, you have an auction. Paper has definitely been king for a long time. But when it comes to getting outbid and data collection, you're missing out on those types of things. So nowadays you have platforms, again, that can seamlessly help with check-in and check-out, and you can have unlimited participants. You're not just limiting yourself by 100 people can go to this event. Anyone else can join from home, and they can bid as much as they want. When they get outbid, they get notified, which increases bidding, which ultimately increases fundraising. And the data gathering aspects of it, all that data you can use to then store and manage and fuel engagement for long-term, sustainability. So virtual auctions, if you've never done an auction, you can do them pretty easily now, and you can do them throughout the year. Virtually, you don't have to just throw all your eggs in one basket in an event or two every year. And then responsiveness. Your forms should be responsive. See what they look like on mobile. See what they look like on desktop. They should be easy to navigate and work with. Another tool that helps remove barriers to give is matching gifts. So matching gifts, if I say that term to an organization, I may get, well, that's when someone may say, hey, I'll put up $50,000 up to $50,000 to match. So if you raise 50, I'll match 50. Really, what I'm referring to is employer matching. So there's an estimated $4 to $7 billion left on the table every year from employers that will set money aside for their employees to match their gifts to organizations. A lot of employees don't know that there's money sitting there, and there's potential to increase your annual giving, from anywhere from 5, 10, up to 20%, just by reminding folks that their employer might match their gift. So there are really just a handful of platforms that are out there. HepData and Double Your Donation are kind of the two, the two heavy hitters in this space. But it's technology that you can actually embed in your donation form. So it acts like as a reminder that, hey, might your employer match this gift? And then there's essentially something that they would type in, put in their organization name, and it's going to tell them, yes, they match up to this amount or whatever the case may be. And then it becomes automated that, the email that goes out, if there's anything that the employer needs them to do, it just automates the process. So it's very slick. And again, statistics wise, 1 in 3 donors indicate they would give a larger amount if matched. So if they find out that their $50 donation is going to become 100, maybe they donate 100, so it becomes 200. So looking at that opportunity and assessing where you're at with this, that might be an opportunity to add to your capabilities. And HepData, for one, has the ability to screen past donations to see if there's opportunity to match. So they can look at, say, your donations for the past 6 months, maybe you had 150 donations, and they can say, yeah, 40% of those we found out, and there's a bunch of information out there. It's kind of scary how much information is out there, but even with your name and where you live, they can find out things about where you work. And so they can connect the dots, and then you could essentially send, the platform could send out an email and get that gift matched. So very interesting stuff, very powerful, something very powerful to take a look at if you haven't already. And then a few more statistics, just this is from Nonprofit Source, I think from a year or two ago, but online giving continues to grow. Going back to embedded forms, embedded donation forms raise 6 times more. So instead of sending someone to a new portal, it makes sense to spend some time making sure you embed it. Pre-selecting monthly giving increases up to 35% of people actually proceeding with monthly giving. So have that pre-selection. They can always go back to one time, but help people out, help them along. Millennials more likely to give monthly versus large one time. Probably, that's probably something that you've keyed in already, but monthly giving, that's something that you could create a campaign. Peer-to-peer fundraising, average of 8 people donate to individuals page. And that number is probably higher now. So that's essentially 8 new donors, 8 new folks that you can engage with. Thermometers, increase giving by 35%. How do you create urgency? Thermometers, help with that. Peer-to-peer, of course, use them, but you can use them on your normal capital campaigns or just monthly giving campaigns. How do you show someone where you're at, and they can see how their donation is going to affect it. Churches, online giving for churches, 49% of church giving transactions by card. Churches that accept online increased by 32%. Pretty powerful stuff. Social media, 55% of people who engage with nonprofits on social media end up taking some sort of action. 59% of those donate money during average peer-to-peer campaign. 15 to 80% of donations are referred directly from Facebook. So having those integrations with Twitter and Facebook, all that stuff adds up. So a few takeaways. All generations prefer to give online, so just keep that in mind. How do you make it easy? Online giving grew 21%. People are getting used to it. Embed and leverage multi-step forms. How do you maximize the completion? Lower that 80% of people that go away. Try to get them across the finish line. Anytime, anywhere with text. So text to donate, there's an opportunity there. It could be power supporters with peer-to-peer. It's a juggernaut. How do you leverage it? How do you help empower your supporters? Social sharing, customizable tools. Make sure that social sharing is part of what you're doing on the technology side, and then customizable tools, customizable receipts. Make sure you're maximizing those touches. Virtual auctions. You can do several a year. Maximize the data that you're getting. Increase fundraising with all the different bids. Must be mobile responsive, and don't miss out on matching gifts. All right. So the third main pillar, data management and engagement. We're going to go again, start off with a survey question. To manage supporter data, are you currently leveraging spreadsheets? That could be Excel, it could be Google Docs, or a true CRM, customer relationship management.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting some great responses about, we'll give it a couple more seconds here. All right. We're going to go ahead and stop the polling. And we have 70% of everyone said CRM and 30% said spreadsheets.
All right. Well, the again, it depends on who's on the call, but it's amazing. The organizations that we talk to that are still having their spreadsheets, in their email provider or their accounting software. So getting it to a true CRM is the way to go. But of course, there's you got to kind of see what your staffing looks like and what you can invest in and things like that. So data fuels engagement for long-term sustainability. After someone gives, where does that data information go? How is it leveraged? What tools are being used to engage donors and supporters? So the data fuels the engagement. So it's important. Quality engagement fueled by good data becomes the lifeblood of an organization. And so yeah, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. How you gather it, how you retain it, how you organize it, and then how you engage with folks. So this is kind of that life cycle. Recruit, inspire. You start tantalizing folks. They start learning more about what you're doing. You engage with them further. You're doing some sort of ask. You're thanking them, and then the cycle continues. So that first step is collection. Collection can kind of look a lot of different ways, but the end game is you want to have some sort of plan. Donations, there's hopefully going to be some data collection on the donation side, whether it's online, whether it's offline through cash or check. Hopefully there's a plan. Online, pretty cut and dry. You've got, the different fields that they're going to enter. You've got some custom fields that you can add, ask additional questions, whether it's drop downs or check boxes, whatever the case may be. And then cash or check is kind of the one where you're hopefully whoever's receiving that has an idea, has the plan of what they need to ask for, name, email, phone number. You want to make sure that you're capturing certain things, and it's a lot more difficult on the cash or check side. Impact in your inbox, what that image is portraying is on your website. If they're signing up for a newsletter, if there's a call to action to learn, to sign up. What other piece of information might you ask for? Email at bare minimum, but maybe there's something else that you could ask for just to get a little bit extra information. And then surveys, sending out surveys by email. What types of extra information could you ask for? Maybe there's a survey just to folks that you only have their email. So having a plan as you gather data, and then having an input plan. A lot of organizations that we talk to, the input plan is something that isn't across the board of their organization. They may have several staff members, they may have some volunteers that are helping them input data, and how you do that ends up helping you be more efficient, effective in the long term. So again, in the beginning, you may have Excel spreadsheets, things like, things that, are very simplistic, they're simple, they're limited, the actual tool that helps you organize and manage the data. Difficult to share, difficult to access, maybe on one person's, desktop, and how do other people get to it? Difficult to organize all data points. So then transitioning to a true CRM, and we've got, some of the heavy hitters in the space: Boomerang, Salesforce, Donor Perfect. What are ones that are out there that, again, you start thinking about costs, and you start thinking about use, and what the devil's in the details with regards to how efficient and how user-friendly they are. But to secure, organize, cleaner data, the integrations. So integrations, what that refers to is you want to have the best of everything. You want kind of things that can do something well, whether it's online fundraising or email marketing or CRM, but you also want them to talk to each other, because that data that's being generated by all of them, you want them to be able to, get to ultimately your CRM. So integrations, when you're looking at what platform you're using, hopefully, they're integrating with other technology that you're using, whether it's QuickBooks or anything else. CRM should be, well, they are accessible anywhere, anytime by all staff, so everyone has a user login. They can schedule tasks, follow-ups, reminders. Hopefully you're using those. So if 70% of folks have a CRM, how are you maximizing its use? A lot of what we do at Give Back Nation is trying to figure out, someone may be using something, but are they maximizing it? So the brainstorming calls, the complimentary brainstorming calls that we have with really any organization, we're asking a lot of questions and trying to figure out, okay, if you're using something, what are you maybe not leveraging that you could be or should be? And so if you have a CRM, there's a lot of capabilities, depending on which CRM you're using, but there's a lot of capabilities built into it that you could be leveraging. So just getting the data in there is one thing, but then how do you maximize it? So you can spot trends, you can analyze things, communicate efficiently. A lot of them have, different types of correspondence that can go out directly from them. But we're always, again, beating up technology in the CRM space. We spent a lot of time over 10 plus years just really looking at, the right ones, the good ones that are out there. So once you have the data and you have it somewhat organized, how do you truly look at it even further and find more capacity from your donors and find other opportunities that maybe you didn't know about, so that you don't leave money on the table? So things like iWave, Donor Search, they're well screening platforms. They have billions of different data points that they can look at and essentially allow you to zero in on your donors and find the ones with the greatest capacity and also find new donors, because you can see who might be supporting some other organization that may be similar to yours. And then email engagement. So when it comes to, you got the data, you're starting to kind of data mine it, and then it's how do you engage with folks. So email engagement, there's a lot of ways to engage, phone calls and all different types of things, but email engagement, it should be done pretty routinely, monthly, bi-monthly. It can take 10 to 20 touch points before action. So how do you stay in front of folks? Even though there's 20% open rates and things like that, they may still see your name before they hit delete, and it was, oh yeah, I saw the organization, they were reaching out, and maybe that second or third email, depending on the subject line. I'm a stickler about subject lines. It's a pet peeve. Make sure that it resonates, make sure that it's grabbed someone's attention that would, hopefully help them to want to open up that email. But email engagement, something that should be happening. And also if you've got reoccurring donors, you want to keep touching, because you want to give them a reason to keep that reoccurring going. So it's just an easy thing. You don't need to, write a book. You don't need to have these long emails, but it's something that you're sharing something. You're sharing an impact story, something that maybe they didn't know about, something that would help them, again, get reminded of the good things that you're doing. And the other engagement tool that I want to touch on is text. So you may have already gotten kind of spammed per se by an organization that's trying to sell something, but text marketing, text messaging, 98% open rate. That's unheard of. When it comes to, if you've got a piece of information that you want to make sure someone is going to receive, sending them a text message is, pretty much a sure way to make sure that they see it. So simple texting, even QGive has tools for outbound text messaging. There's just platforms out there that can really make sure and help you, stay in front of folks. And opt-in is key. You got to watch overdoing it. And so there's definitely ways to do that. But 98% open race is definitely nothing to kind of just scoff at. It's an opportunity to make sure someone sees what you're up to. So again, this third pillar, donor management and engagement, some takeaways: data gathering, have a plan; data input, have a plan. Make sure that your team is on board and how you're going about doing that. Manage data efficiently. Again, the majority of you are using CRMs now. What are you not leveraging within that CRM? What are some things that you could maybe do better at? Well, screen your data to uncover capacity. Again, how do you you don't want to leave money on the table. You know, how do you ask for the right amount? And then quality routine engagement for long-term success, emails, text. Again, there's other things, of course, but you know, but things to definitely think about as you assess how your fundraising ecosystem is set up and aligned, and what are things that you could be fine-tuning to increase your opportunity when it comes to fundraising. So again, a lot that kind of wraps into this fundraising ecosystem. You know, we're talking about majority of it on a weekly basis with organizations. So so again, just to wrap up, as you're kind of looking at your organization, you know, take a look at your branding and storytelling. You know, are you proud of your website? Do you think it conveys the impact and your story in a very efficient way? Remember, everything counts. Are you removing barriers to give? You know, are you making it easier for folks to support your cause? Do you have the right technology in place? Is it maximized? And then on the data gathering side, you know, making sure that you maximize that. And then on the engagement side, this is what keeps people up to speed on what you're doing and keeps them involved and them wanting to continue to help support your cause. So the end game is to thrive, don't just survive. And as an organization, as a nonprofit, we are here to help. And again, we have, you know, we offer complimentary brainstorming calls to really any organization to hopefully provide some insights and help you down the yellow brick road to sustainability. So that's pretty much all I have. And I guess maybe we can open it up to questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. That was some really great information. Hopefully I'm not muted now and everyone can hear me. We do have a question from Lauren. She's asking, what kind of platforms facilitate online auctions like you were referring to?
Well, QGive, you know, it just so happens that the host, you know, has a very dynamic one. So again, what we do on an annual basis is beat up solutions. You know, we're trying to look at what organizations don't have the time to look at. You know, if they're focused on running their organizations or looking for a solution, they don't want to be sent, you know, 5 different solutions. So we're always just keeping our ear to the track, just trying to see what's out there. And QGive's done a really good job, you know, these past couple of years implementing their auction platform. And it's very dynamic. You know, you can, of course, learn more at qgive.com, but I would start there. There's hundreds of platforms out there. The ones that have been around the block, sometimes their fees and things get pretty ridiculous, and there's a reason for that. They have fixed costs, and you know, a lot of times the last ones in can do things a lot more cost effectively because they've learned a lot from others. But yeah, definitely start with QGive, and happy to, you know, if you have any further questions, happy to answer those as well with regards to auctions.
It looks like we have a couple folks who, let's see, Julie is asking, you had some stats on PayPal given earlier in the webinar. Would you please repeat those stats?
Stats directly on PayPal. We talked about embedded forms. So 6 times, you know, people give 6 times more when forms are embedded. PayPal, of course, a lot of times, you know, you're sending someone away to PayPal. The psychological effect of that can lead people to maybe not give at that time. PayPal has limitations when it comes to how you can customize the forms. It has limitations on what you can customize on the receding. You know, so hopefully that's kind of what you were referring to. But, you know, having a true online fundraising platform that can embed and give you the capability to customize things and add coloring and ask the right questions or ask additional questions and have reoccurring turned on and restrictions and just give you the tools that and also things like gift assist or you know, allowing people to help pay for processing in a very respectful way. I say that because, you know, things like Eventbrite and Ticketmaster, all of a sudden there's this fee that you know, kind of doesn't make you feel good, you know, where it's kind of added on at the end. So if you can do it in a respectful way, that helps. But hopefully that answers a little bit. But again, you know, there's a lot of pros and cons to PayPal for sure.
Well, thank you for that. And I think this might be our time for our last question. Jennifer is asking a little bit about Bloomerang. She says, is Bloomerang a CRM that allows for embedded donate forms?
That's a good question. Bloomerang integrates with QGIF. Bloomerang, you know, their core functionality is CRM. They do integrate with QGIF, which QGIF has, you know, their free start plan, which includes embedded forms, and so the data can migrate, you know, back and forth. But yeah, I'd have to take a look at Bloomerang again to see if they have that capability. Some CRMs can, a lot of them can't, and you also want to look at what it looks like. Even though they can, is it Stract? Is it professional? Is the coloring aspects? Does it kind of match your branding on your site? So there's little things like that to keep in mind for sure.
Thank you. We have one last question in 3 minutes. So in regards to matching gifts, how is the employer identified as the donor is giving online? Do you prompt them with a question where they work?
So say that again. So how is it?
How is the employer identified while the donor is on the form?
So essentially, if go ahead, Brennan.
I can speak to how QGIF does it. I know different systems work you know, slightly differently, but with our integrated partners, HepData and Double the Donation, as well as Cyber Grants, we do have a question. So on the forms during the giving process, there is the option to type in and search for your employer to see if you can begin the matching gift component and the matching gift process on your donation form. So it really just guides the process. It is a direct question on the forms.
Great. Thank you, Brendan. I hope that answers your question there. So I think that really wraps it up as of right now. That's the end of our webinar, and we really thank you all for joining us, and we'll be emailing a recording of today as well as a copy of the presentation and links to other resources, including an offer from Give Back Nation. Kyle and his team are going to do a complimentary brainstorming session. So please look for that email in the next day or so. If you haven't already, please take the survey as you're exiting. And thank you again. We hope everything we covered today was useful and helpful, and we'll be in touch. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks. Bye-bye.